The year was 1861, the month July. The place, a small creek named Hoke's Run, nestled in the verdant Shenandoah Valley of western Virginia. Here, amidst the rolling hills and whispering wheat fields, the first whispers of a burgeoning conflict would soon turn into the deafening roar of cannon fire. The Battle of Hoke's Run, though a relatively small engagement in the grand scheme of the Civil War, held within its brief clash of arms a significance that far outweighed its size. For it was here, on the banks of this quiet creek, that a relatively unknown Confederate colonel named Thomas Jonathan Jackson would receive his baptism by fire. And it was here that the legend of Stonewall Jackson would begin to take shape. The young nation was tearing itself apart. Virginia, the mother of presidents, had seceded from the Union in April of 1861. The Shenandoah Valley, cradled between the Blue Ridge Mountains to the east and the Alleghenies to the west, took on immense strategic importance. It was a breadbasket capable of feeding the Confederacy's armies. It was an invasion route offering a backdoor to the Union capital at Washington, D.C. And it was a land of divided loyalties, home to both those who fervently supported the Confederacy and those who still held fast to the Union. Control of the Shenandoah Valley would prove to be a key factor in the war's eastern theater. The stage was set for a struggle for control of this pivotal land, a struggle that would be fought not just with armies and cannons, but with the very souls of the people who called the valley home. Two men, each embodying the spirit of their respective causes, found themselves on a collision course at Hoke's Run. In the blue corner, commanding the Union forces, was Major General Robert Patterson, a veteran of the Mexican-American War. Patterson, though an experienced officer, was hampered by a cautious nature and a tendency towards indecision. Facing him, in the gray uniform of the Confederacy, was Colonel Thomas J. Jackson, a former instructor at the Virginia Military Institute. Jackson, a deeply religious man with an unwavering belief in his cause, possessed a steely resolve and a willingness to take bold, even audacious actions. Patterson, ever the cautious commander, approached the situation with a measured hand, seeking to engage the Confederates on his own terms. Jackson, on the other hand, burned with a fierce desire to strike for the Confederacy, to prove his mettle as a commander, and to defend the valley he held so dear. The days leading up to the battle were tense, as both sides maneuvered for position, Patterson advancing south from the Potomac River with a force of roughly 18,000 men, aimed to push the Confederates out of the valley and secure the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. Jackson, with a much smaller force of around 6,000 men, knew that he could not hope to meet the Federals head-on. Instead, he chose to make a stand at Hoke's Run, a strong defensive position where he hoped to delay Patterson's advance and buy valuable time for Confederate reinforcements to arrive. The Confederate line stretched along the high ground overlooking Hoke's Run, their cannons pointing menacingly towards the approaching Federals. Jackson, ever the meticulous commander, rode up and down his lines, inspiring his men with his calm demeanor and unwavering confidence. The morning of July 2, 1861 dawned hot and humid, the stillness of the morning air shattered by the rumble of artillery fire. The Battle of Hoke's Run, a brief but fierce engagement, had begun. Patterson, seeking to outflank the Confederate positions, sent a portion of his force to cross Hoke's Run at a ford further downstream. Jackson, anticipating this move, had positioned a contingent of his own men to block the crossing. The two forces collided in a flurry of musket fire and cannon shot, the sound echoing through the valley like thunder. The fighting at the ford raged for several hours, neither side able to gain a decisive advantage. Confederate cavalry, under the command of the dashing J.E.B. Stuart, harassed the flanks of the advancing Union troops. Jackson, ever present in the thick of the action, rallied his men with a shout, his voice a beacon of defiance amidst the chaos. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the sounds of combat finally began to die down. The Battle of Hoke's Run, though inconclusive in terms of territory gained or lost, had a profound impact on the course of the war and on the legacy of Thomas Jonathan Jackson. The Confederate forces, though forced to withdraw in the face of superior numbers, had inflicted heavier casualties on the enemy and, more importantly, had bought precious time for reinforcements to arrive. Patterson, his advance stalled, chose not to pursue the retreating Confederates, a decision that would have far-reaching consequences. The Battle of Hoke's Run, though a relatively minor affair in terms of its scale, served as a preview of the type of warfare that would come to characterize the Shenandoah Valley Campaign. The Battle of Hoke's Run, though tactically inconclusive, marked a turning point in the career of Thomas Jonathan Jackson. It was here that he earned the sobriquet Stonewall, a testament to his unwavering courage under fire. During the heat of the battle, as Confederate lines wavered under a furious Union assault, General Barnard B. of South Carolina is said to have rallied his men with the now famous cry, "There is Jackson standing like a stone wall, rally behind the Virginians." The name stuck, and Stonewall Jackson would become a symbol of Confederate resistance, his name whispered with reverence in the South, and with a mix of fear and grudging respect in the North. The Battle of Hoke's Run, though soon overshadowed by larger, bloodier engagements, served as a crucible in which the legend of Stonewall Jackson was forged. For more Civil War battles, subscribe to Short Fact Wizard.